Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto Byte. Today is Wednesday, January 5th, and we've got plenty to talk about today. Fed minutes meeting looming later today. Stock market was hit pretty hard by that news yesterday. Crypto seems to be holding up okay, though, so we'll talk about that as well as a few different headlines that hit the presses this morning. Before we dive into all that, though, CJ, how are you doing today, my friend?
Doing well, Monty. Excited to jump into some news. So why don't we have at it?
Let's do it. Let's do it. Where would you like to start off?
You know, I'll start off with Bitcoin price here a little bit. But first, leading into that, probably going to show an article that you guys have already seen already because it was very popular yesterday. But that is Goldman Sachs saying that Bitcoin 100,000 possible by chipping away at gold's market share. So, in a note released to investors on Tuesday, Goldman Sachs co-head of global foreign exchange and emerging market strategy, Zach Pandel, hypothesized that if the largest cryptocurrency could overtake 50% of the store of value market over the next 5 years, Bitcoin's price would increase to just over 100,000, marking a compound annualized return of 18%. So we've seen this type of valuation proposed before, like back in the 2000 or the 2016, 2017 days when Chris Berniski, I think, was really doing the first analysis of how Bitcoin could actually take market share away from gold. And it's a very real thing. I think we see that happening. A lot of investors were really bullish on gold going into all of the QE following COVID-19 and then an initial shock to the liquidity crisis in the system. But gold has massively underperformed since then. And I think a lot of investors are just throwing in the towel and joining Bitcoin because the market is already pointing towards the clear winner, in my opinion. Going over to price, just briefly, I wanted to highlight some bullish divergences in the RSI that we are seeing now back onto the daily chart as well, because earlier in the downtrend we got up a little too high and were rejected by that 20 smooth moving average. But now, ever since we've come down and found some support, that bullish divergence is becoming even more pronunciated. On this particular time frame. Same with the 4 hour. I mean, it's even almost more evidence going into kind of this morning's price action as well as last night's on the 4 hour chart. So definitely something to keep an eye on, but some interesting news to start the morning here with Bitcoin.
Absolutely, CJ. Thank you for that. And I want to tie that in with another piece of news that hit the presses last night, and that is regarding the FTX CEO Sam Bankman-Fried and his comments that a tidal wave of institutions could jump into crypto in 2022. And this actually ties in with another headline that broke, which is the SEC hires a senior advisor for cryptocurrency policy after a blockbuster year. That is Corey Frayer. He's a former Senate staffer with experience in investor and consumer protection. But getting back to Mr. Bankman-Fried's comments, because I think he has some really good points here. 2021 was in many ways a revolutionary year for crypto. And without being, just overly bullish, I think that he makes some great points in the fact that, lots of what we saw this year was preparatory in terms of, setting up infrastructure, setting up regulatory clarity for both Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all downstream crypto assets. And much of what we saw in terms of price appreciation, for Bitcoin, we talked about how that was large players like whales and institutions. But, ultimately the lack of regulational clarity, the lack of momentum in the second half of the year kind of made that 100K by end of year prediction, really fizzle out. But I think that Sam makes some great points in the sense that, much of what we saw in 2021 was, preparatory, with these various layer one chains that we have spent so much time talking about, like Solana, Luna, AVAX. Much of their price appreciation has been on the back of retail participation. But one thing's for sure is that, institutions are becoming more aggressive in their participation with crypto. Sam talks about how, anecdotally, he's talked to every large bank, every large investment bank, pension funds. They're all eyeing this sector. And many of them have started breaking ground in their activities in it, but it's slow and takes time. And that just seems to be kind of the prevailing trend, is that many of these funds and institutions are trying to, get their feet wet a little bit with crypto, get started. And I think that 2022 really could be a transformative year in terms of getting those players, those, large funds, those family offices, getting them the proper on-ramps into, crypto investment. And part of that has to do with this headline: SEC hiring a senior advisor. Obviously, probably the most important thing for many of these institutions, many of these family offices, is regulational clarity. And whether or not they're concerned about the regulational clarity as well, it does limit their exposure to certain assets because they're not available on every exchange, especially the institutional facing ones. So I think 2022 we could see a continuation of the expansion of these layer ones as many institutions are jumping on board. Hopefully we get some more regulational clarity here now that we have a senior advisor strictly for cryptocurrency policy. Overall, I think 2021 was a transformative year, but it's looking like 2022 could be even more transformative. But that's all we got for those headlines. CJ, any comments on those?
No, just wanted to mention some of the winners of the week. Really, out of the top 100, it's been Cosmos, up 48% this week. Then followed closely by Internet Computer, ICP, at 46. And then we have Phantom at 37% increase in the last week, and Harmony One at 35. So a lot of those layer ones really coming to fruition and drawing a lot of attention. But one that is in there that has not really moved a lot lately is Link. Now back above its 20 smooth moving average, up 12 to 13% today, really with some bullish momentum. Previously, like if you don't know about Chainlink, like it is essential for the DeFi space and to allow blockchains to get real world prices in a decentralized way. So if you go to PancakeSwap, you're going to see that they're using the Chainlink Oracle. A lot of these particular services, they rely on Chainlink for that data. And the way that the demand for the token is created is that you pay node providers for that data in the Link token. However, those data providers don't have an incentive really to hold the Link token as of now. What we've seen is that they've just been instantly selling it and going into Bitcoin or cash or something of that sort. But the Link community, as well as some of the architects and engineers, have discussed implementing staking or some way to increase the incentives for those node operators and data providers to actually hold their Link payments when they get compensated in the Link token. I think if they can create a really interesting incentive like that, we could see a massive surge in the price of Link going into 2022. But that remains to be seen, just something that kind of could be an opportunity that arises. But I like to try to find these types of like chain reaction type relationships. But that's all we got. Unless you'd like to add anything else to that, Monty.
All I got to say about Link is that, despite the rough second half of the year it's had here, one thing that makes me rather bullish on Link is the fact that in terms of competition amongst other Oracle networks, I think Link is really, the clear-cut leader in terms of first mover advantage, in terms of current adoption rate for Oracle networks. There really isn't even a close second. And like CJ said, Oracle networks are vitally important to these decentralized layer ones in terms of, onboarding offline information. That is one of the, few things that blockchains are not very good at. So Link definitely has a use case, but I think CJ's right. If they can incentivize the holding of the token with some sort of staking model, I think that would be tremendously bullish. But, right now, the price action we're seeing so far encourages me. Momentum's building. So yeah, I went ahead and purchased some Link this morning because I like the momentum that we're seeing here today. So that's all I got. Anything else that you'd like to cover here today, CJ?
No, that's it. Just thank you for watching wherever you are in the world, morning, evening, or afternoon. But appreciate it. And don't forget, if you'd like to see more trade insights as well, go beyond just the Daily Crypto Byte and see some of our ideas, as well as our trading education curriculum and our pro charting platform. You can check out the link in the description below at marketrebellion.com/try crypto. You can try the first week for just $7, money back guaranteed, all of that good stuff and whatnot. But thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great day.
Have a great rest of your day, folks.